مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Hello grade 8 students, it's a pleasure to be with you once again. Now my students, open your students book page 47. Today we are going to have a grammar lesson. Before going through our lesson today, read today's value or this week's value. Yes, I'm Qatari, I'm a Qatari. I'm proud to follow the Prophet Muhammad, God's peace and mercy be upon him. So this is the value for today's lesson. Okay, now our lesson today is about the past progressive tense. So open your students book page 47 and follow the lesson with me. Now read this question. What were you doing all night yesterday? Were you sleeping? Were you watching TV? Were you studying? Look at the picture and answer the question. Now, my students, we have one objective today, that is to define the rule of the past progressive correctly after watching my PowerPoint presentation. So, read and find out when the past progressive is used. Now, read the examples. When is the past progressive used? You have to match sentences from 1 to 3 with the rules A to C. Sentence 1, I was riding my bike to school at 8 o'clock yesterday morning. Tom and I were talking while the children were riding their bikes. It was a beautiful Saturday morning, the sun was shining, and we were relaxing in the garden. So these are the sentences. Now look at the usages of the past continuous tense or the past progressive. The first usage is to describe a background scene to a story. Second one is for an action that were in progress at a specific point of time in the past. The third one for an action that were happening at the same time in the past. الأول يصف أحداث القصة، مشاهد وإعدادات القصة. الثاني يصف أحداث كانت مستمرة في توقيت محدد في الماضي. الثالث يصف حدثان وقعا باستمرار في نفس التوقيت وفي نفس اللحظة. Now, number one, yes, number one, I was riding my bike reflects an action that were in progress at a specific point of time in the past. Number two, Tom and I were talking while the children were riding their bikes. Now think for a few seconds. Yes, for an action or for actions that were happening at the same time in the past. Number three, yes, A, to describe the background scene of the story. بيصف مشاهد وإعدادات القصة. The sun was shining. كانت الشمس مشرقة. And we're relaxing in the garden. Okay. Now this is the rule of the past progressive tense, the affirmative. في حالة الإثبات we use the personal pronouns I, he, she, it was working. We, you, they were working. The negative is wasn't and weren't. The question was I, was he, was she, were you, were they working. وفي حالة الإثبات بنستخدم was مع ضمائر المفرد الضمائر الشخصية اللي I, he, she, it. وضمائر الأخرى الشخصية الأخرى اللي هي we, you, they تستخدم مع كلمة were. Verb to be were. النفي wasn't or was not. weren't or are not. السؤال نقدم الجزء الخاص بverb to be على الفاعل. Was he working? Were they working? Now we use the past progressive for action that were happening at the specific point of time in the past. كما ذكرنا حدث وقع باستمرار في توقيت محدد في الماضي. مثال I was watching TV at 7 o'clock yesterday evening. What were you doing at 8 o'clock yesterday morning? I was having a dinner with my family. To describe background scene to a story, Majid was working in the forest and it was raining. Number three, for action that were happening at the same time In the past, in this case, we usually use while. While I was watching TV, my mother was cooking. While I was studying, my father was watching TV. While my mom was cooking lunch, my sister was washing the dishes. Two actions which were in progress at the same time. Okay? So we've just gone through the past simple and the past progressive. We use when, while, and as. We use the past progressive and a past continuous in the same sentence. When one action interrupted another in the past. نستخدم الماضي البسيط والماضي المستمر عندما يكون لدينا حدثان في الماضي قطع إحداهما استمرار الآخر. We use the past progressive for the longer action. يستخدم الماضي المستمر للحدث الطويل and the past simple for the shorter action للحدث القصير. In this case, we usually use while, when, or as. We usually, as I was driving, I saw a cat in the street. الحدث الطويل هو I was driving والحدث الذي قطعه أو القصير هو I saw. I saw. While I was driving, I saw a cat in the street. I was sleeping when the telephone rang. Was sleeping هو المستمر الحدث الطويل والذي قطعه هو الحدث القصير the rang. Now, we have a second objective as well. To define at least 3 verbs in the past progressive after reading a text. Now, underline the past progressive. You have to read carefully the previous dialogue and underline the past progressive. It's quite simple for you just to look at the text in the student's book page 46 and underline the past progressive tense. The third objective today is to apply past progressive rule through answering 3 leveled activities in the past progressive and the past progressive tense. Now, my students, now it's your turn to do this task. Okay, number one, yes, number one, student's book, page 47, exercise B. Space, the boys sleep at 10 o'clock. Yes, correct. With the boys sleeping, right. No, they were talking on the phone. Barry was sitting in his boat and it was raining. While George was washing his car, Sally, right, was cooking. What were you saying to that man? I was telling him how to get to Sugwagif. Now, my students, now the past continuous tense to show what somebody was doing at a particular time in the past with the past continuous tense. Okay, now look at this picture. I was playing. Number 2, she, yes, she was cycling at 9 o'clock yesterday. They, right, they were playing table tennis at 6:30 last night. يبقى حدث كان يقع في توقيت محدد في الماضي. We use was or were. Was with the singular and were with the plural. Okay, plus the verb plus ing. Simon, yes, at 3 o'clock yesterday. Simon, yes, was playing football at 3 o'clock p.m. Excellent. Number 2, the children at 8 a.m. yesterday. Yes, the children were going to school at 8 a.m. yesterday. We're going to school. Derek was swimming, yes, at 6 a.m. yesterday. يبقى حدث كان يقع باستمرار في توقيت محدد في الماضي. What was Derek doing at 6 a.m. yesterday? Right? He was swimming. Mandy, 4 o'clock. Mandy was feeding her dog at 4 o'clock yesterday. James and Jess at 8 o'clock. Yes, James and Jess were having dinner at 8 p.m. last night. We often use the past continuous and the past simple tense in the same sentence. We do this when we want to talk about a shorter activity that happened during a longer activity in the past. كما قلنا حدث طويل مستمر وقطعه حدث قصير. Sam hurt himself when jumping over the vaulting horse. Sam hurt himself when he was jumping over the vaulting horse. Shorter action is that he hurt himself, and the longer is that when he was jumping over the vaulting horse. Cut herself. Peel apple. Nancy. Nancy cut herself. Yes, when she was peeling an apple. Right? Watch TV. Arrive. They were watching TV when I arrived. Play football. Rain. We were playing football when it rained. A fire. Yes, a fire broke out at 8 o'clock last night. What were the people doing when the fire broke out? Yes. Sometimes you use the past progressive or the past continuous tense to talk about two or more action which were taking place at the same time in the past. For example, I was playing TV games. Mother was cooking. While I was playing TV games while mother was cooking. We were studying. The baby, yes, while the baby was crying. It's 3 p.m. last Sunday. What were they doing? Example, grandfather was reading the newspaper. While grandmother was listening to the hi-fi. Father was sleeping. Mother was drinking some water. What were they doing an hour later? Exercise. Grandfather was watching TV while grandmother, yes, was knitting. Cindy was doing her homework. Yes, father was drinking some water while mother was drinking some juice. Now, want to take a challenge? Let's solve the mystery crime together. Today is Tuesday. Mr. Chan was murdered at around 9 o'clock last night. I think. Mr. Chan lives with 5 flatmates. One of them must have killed Mr. Chan, but who is that? Yes, Grace, Kelly, Andy, Alan. What were you doing at 9 a.m. last night? Now click one of the name of each person to find out who the murderer is. What were you doing at 9 o'clock last night? Watching movies, with cinema, with friend Maggie. I was watching a movie at the cinema with my friend Maggie at 9 o'clock last night. I didn't kill Mr. Chan. Is she the murderer? What were you doing at 9 o'clock last night? Visiting my friend Kevin at the hospital. I was visiting my friend Kevin at the hospital at 9 o'clock last night. I didn't kill Mr. Chan. Is she the murderer? What were you doing at 9 o'clock last night? Taking my dog for a walk. I was taking my dog for a walk at 9 o'clock last night. I didn't kill Mr. Chan. Is he the murderer? Now, what were you doing at 9 o'clock last night? Play TV at my bedroom. Yes, I was playing TV in my bedroom at 9 o'clock last night. I didn't kill Mr. Chan. Is he the murderer? Now, I was reading novel in the public library with my friend Paul at 9 o'clock last night. I didn't kill Mr. Chan. Try somebody else. You know, I am the murderer. Mr. Chan was killed on Monday. The public library isn't open on Monday. You are lying. Come on, baby. I am really the murderer. You know, the public library, yes, isn't open on Monday. I'm just lying. What was the woman in the flat 4 doing when the fire broke out? Yes, she was knitting. What were the couple in the flat 4B doing when the fire broke out? The couple were singing. What were the couple in the flat 3A doing when the fire broke out? Yes, the couple were having dinner. What were the woman in flat 3B doing when the fire broke out? The woman was talking on the phone. Okay. What was the man in flat 2A doing when the fire broke out? The man in flat 2A was packing. What was the boy in flat 2B doing when the fire broke out? Right, the boy was playing TV games. What was the woman in flat 1A doing when the fire broke out? The woman in flat A was tidying up her flat. Yes. What was the woman in flat 1B doing when the fire broke out? The woman in flat 1B was playing. But this will come to the end of our video today. Thank you for listening and have
مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم